Okay, we are recording. Welcome everyone to Flooded Cinema. I'm joined here today by rottenf. I don't know. What do you go by nowadays?
Ayeka or rottenfucker.
yeah,
Can I say that?
yeah. Just be optical
Triple
aside
K.
from that, I suppose, if you know what I mean.
Okay, okay.
Um, yeah. So we watched two movies. We watched Stray Dog and A Better Tomorrow. Two like Asian cop movies from very different eras, and I really enjoyed both of them. What did you think of them?
They were both really good movies.
Oh
I
yeah,
think they were great movies, but very different, both of them. I liked them.
yeah. It was really interesting because you sort of you see the development of like what police movies become by the time you get to the 80s versus the 40s, and it's obviously very different sort of thing, but it's similar sort of certain similar elements obviously. People shooting each
Yeah,
other.
for sure. Yeah.
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 Um, let's start with A Better Tomorrow, I reckon. Actually, no, let's start with Stray Dog, I guess, because that's the first.
Yeah.
Chronologically, that's the first one. So Stray Dog, that came out 1949, directed by Akira Kurosawa, who's probably the most famous Asian director. I maybe after, well, him and John Woo are probably the two most famous, at least to me. But
I'm
I
not a movie guy. I don't know,
ah
but
okay,
I trust you.
that's good. That's good. I really loved Stray Dog. I thought it was awesome. It's a bit slow, but in the beginning it's a bit slow,
Yeah.
but the cinematography I thought was really cool, and the way that it showed post-war Tokyo and everything, particularly those, it is the first 30 minutes or so where it's just the main character like walking around, and you just get so many shots, and there's so many extras, and I don't know if they actually got extras or if they were just in the streets of Tokyo or whatever just filming it. What did you think?
Yeah. I don't know either, but there were some very cool shots. I uh I thought that was cool to see the post-war environment,
Mm.
which really formed the main character as well.
Yes. So it's yeah, and that's the thing I think the movie does really well is set up the particularly that main character obviously is um so the beginning of the movie is he's a cop and he loses his gun, and then he's just he's really worried that it will be used in a crime or something like that because then the guilt in his mind will transfer to him, and so it's him desperately looking for this gun. But I think pretty much the first scene you get with him is him talking to his boss, and he keeps saying "sir" to his boss, and then his boss is like, "This isn't the army. You don't have to say that anymore." And it's sort of you already see, well, you establish that he was in the army, and that he hasn't fully transitioned back out of that mindset, I guess.
He has his military values and
Mm,
he's very stubborn about them, I think.
mm, mm. He's sort of stuck. Yeah, he's stuck. Yeah, being too idealistic, I think. But
Yeah,
now what have I written down here? I wrote some notes. One
okay,
thing I
me
think
too.
the movie does really well is setting the scene in terms of the weather. Like you feel the summer heat when you're watching that movie. Is what I thought. Like everyone the whole time is wiping their face with a handkerchief because they're sweating,
Oh, yeah,
and everyone's just talking about the heat and how hot it is, and um,
it's terrible. It's
yeah,
way too hot. They couldn't work almost.
yeah.
They're like, but they connected with each other through the heat, I think. Like
Mm,
everyone was suffering equally.
yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Is it?
I guess
Yeah.
Japan is that whole. It's crazy.
There was that one really. Um, I think it's the first scene where we meet Sato, who ends up teaming up with the main character, where he's interviewing that woman, and he's interviewing like a criminal, and they're both just having an icy pole at the same time, which is a good scene. Um, I was trying to think. So yeah, we open up with him losing his gun, and then him desperately trying to find it, and then we have this really long sequence where he's trying to meet a pistol dealer. Um, and
Yeah.
I really liked this sequence. It was surprisingly long. It was I don't know how long it was, but it felt quite long. Just him walking around
It
the
was like
streets.
10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, like no
Yeah.
dialogue or anything happening. Just him just walking around dressed like a homeless person.
Uh, I made that note as well. Like for several minutes, it was just his face or upper body and the sky. You could see
Mm,
him walking in different directions, sweating,
mm,
suffering.
mm.
But he was looking for that for several days, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and he
Right?
didn't eat or sleep really. He
Yeah.
was just desperate to find this gun.
But I think that was also the character. Like he had to be desperate. He was sort of acting to make them believe
Yeah,
he was truly desperate for a gun in the
yeah,
proper
yeah.
sense.
Um, and we forgot actually the bit where he's talking to that pickpocket woman, and he just follows her around for the whole day, and that's sort of the lead into that bit.
Yeah.
But we
Uh,
just sort of get the sense basically he is just desperate. Well, he's not maybe desperate, but he's just so stubborn and dogged about trying to get this gun back. And I think that's really well established. And
yeah.
the
But he finds that pickpocket and then he
yeah
chases her for the whole day
yeah
through the heat until she finally feels some like sympathy for her.
mm,
And she gives him like a drink, I think.
yeah, and he basically just gives up. I mean, she gives up and just sort of relents and says, "All right, here's the information you want to know." Um,
Yeah.
and
She was not cooperative, and the other guy was like, yeah, she's not gonna say anything,
yeah,
but she did at the end because of his military stubbornness.
mm.
We had, yeah,
And I really like the way that these sequences were shot, just these longer sequences where it's just him doing one thing for the like a long time, and it's just like you said, there's shots where it's just his face and the sky or whatever, or it's always interesting angles, like you see them walking through these streets, and there's just heaps of extras. I don't know, they must have just shot it on the streets in Tokyo because there's just so many people. I guess maybe
yeah,
if
it
it
felt real
was, and you get
for
it's
all the
so
people
dynamic.
and yeah, the old people and everything. It really felt like that's exactly how it was.
Mm. And what's
Me,
interesting,
at least, at some point, I saw the old people and I was like, those are not even actors. Those are
yeah,
just old people
yeah,
in the city.
and one thing I'll mention is so this movie came out I think like just before like a few years before widescreen became a thing. So it's in like a weird aspect ratio, which I don't know. I think it sort of suits the claustrophobic tight feeling of it a little bit, but maybe that's reaching.
Yeah, it's almost like a square.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
When I first downloaded it, I had to Google, is this the right aspect ratio? Did I get like a weird copy or something?
Yeah.
But no, it is just I think it's like 1952 or something. Everything went to widescreen, so
Oh,
a bit of a movie history for you.
see. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so he eventually he teams up with Sato, Officer Sato, I think is his name. And I think
Yes.
that this is sort of the heart of the movie is our main character trying to grow as a policeman and sort of move, well, not just as a policeman, but as a person. And um, I think like Sato's philosophy of the world is, it's not even like they're in conflict or anything like that. It's just sort of like a more mature way of thinking about the world versus this sort of overly idealistic way.
Yeah, that guy Sato or whatever, he was like a real mentor
Mm,
because of his experience, I think. He had already, obviously worked the same occupation as the
mm,
main character for so long. He knew exactly every little situation. He knew the optimal way maybe to handle it. But they
yeah,
got along still.
yeah. It was interesting because it's a slightly different like buddy cop dynamic than in a lot of other movies where there's obviously opposition in the beginning and then they get then they become friends by the end of the movie. Whereas in this they're sort of immediately sort of friendly, but it's more about what is the main character's name? I've completely forgotten. But anyway, the main character, he about him growing.
Murakami?
Yes, that's right, Murakami. It's about his growth. Um, but yeah, what do you think about the scene where they're sort of like discussing their philosophies when they're at Sato's like family's house? If you
Uh,
remember that.
yeah, I remember. Uh, I will have to fill in. I don't remember what they talked about. Just
uh,
that was the one point I wrote a note actually about Sato's obedient wife. I thought
uh,
that was fun.
yeah, she was all trad wife, trad Asian waifu.
Yeah, super obedient to
Mm,
everything.
yeah.
Oh, that was cool. It's like what we're supposed to have.
Yeah, yeah. Japanese wives. That's what we're supposed to have.
Yes.
Um, well, so basically in that scene, Murakami was saying like, oh, he feels bad for the guy that's stolen his gun, or oh, it could have just as easily been me, because we find out that the guy that's ended up with the pistol is a vet as well, and so he's sort of thinking, oh well, if one or two things changed in my life, maybe I could have ended up like that as well, and he's sort of beginning to feel paralyzed by um, I don't know, being overly introspective or being overly philosophical or something. And Sato is just sort of like, what's his exact quote? But he's just like, there's no point overthinking things like this. Like the bad guys are bad, and it's like at the end of the day, you can let the worries of the world and the way of the world sort of stop you from taking any sort of action, but you have to sort of handle, I don't know, what's right in front of you. And I thought that was really a really good message. I thought in the movie.
Yeah. I remember Sato was like, I don't know if it was that scene, but he was like, you're the good kind of veteran.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's right.
what was his name? Like what was his name? Yusa,
Yes,
the bad
Yusa.
guy?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yusa is the bad type of veteran.
yeah,
Like you could go two ways, and you went the
yeah,
right way, he went
yeah,
the bad way.
yeah, yeah. But that was yeah. I think that's sort of the main theme of the movie is I don't know, not being, because he's so ridden by guilt about losing his gun, like, and no one else in the police is even really blames him that much. Like they sort of just feel bad for him. Like he's
Yeah.
so guilt ridden that they almost forgive him and that they pity him.
Yeah. Yeah. He was almost demanding a punishment.
Mm.
I think if he almost went the opposite way, he wouldn't have gotten any punishment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But his boss was like, yeah, I guess you'll get like 3 months half pay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And he just wanted to like resign, or he felt he just wanted
yeah,
to beat himself up. But I think because what he says is at one point is he wanted to be a policeman because he saw how people became beasts during the war. And I think the implication is like maybe he did stuff that he would have done stuff he wasn't proud of during the war, and I think his sort of more quiet demeanor is sort of a maybe something he developed after the war as like a way to restrain himself, or just like from the guilt
yeah,
of whatever he felt from the war. And um, yeah, he just doesn't know how to really adapt back to being a civilian, I guess.
yeah. It's like minor differences in their behavior or way of
Mm,
thinking.
mm,
Because he was like, actually, I was in the same situation as him, and
yeah,
someone tried to steal his what was like baggage when he was on his way home.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Which also the bad guy, his
yeah.
baggage was also stolen. That's what really triggered his,
Mm,
yeah. But the main character, he chose to barely a choice, but he didn't, I don't know, take revenge on society or anything. He was,
yeah, yeah. He didn't blame the whole world for whatever had happened.
yeah,
Um, so I think in the plot we're up to the bit where they go to the baseball, which is another really cool um, scene. I really like that. It was just like really crazy seeing 1940s Japanese baseball being played. So they clearly they were at the stadium and they got all these shots, um, which was I thought was really cool. Um, and Sato has this line where they're talking about they're going to try and catch this guy who they know is there, and he says, "Oh no, be careful of the crowd because bullets are nothing like a foul ball," which I thought was like a cool line to say. Um, yeah, and then they catch the guy at the baseball, and he sort of tells them, "Okay, well, it's this other guy that's got the pistol," and this guy with the pistols ended up shooting someone. So Murakami feels even more guilt at this point, and it's a sort of it becomes more of a cat and mouse thing at this point of them trying to work out exactly where he is and um, how to get him. Uh, and then we sort of have a few more scenes with this guy's girlfriend. With the cabaret scene, which I thought was interesting as well. What did you think of that?
was that after the baseball game?
No, well, I think
I forget
the cabaret might have been just anyway. It doesn't really matter, but it's sort of all
okay,
we
okay,
can talk about Yusa's girlfriend,
yeah.
the yeah that
His
woman.
girlfriend was like I think they almost described her as like a stereotype. I don't
Mm.
know. She was kind of like quiet and reserved, but they were like, yeah, when anyone complains, she's gonna cry
Yeah,
and she's gonna leave for work for 1 day. She's
yeah.
not gonna cooperate, and she was kind of annoying that way. I don't know.
You have to admit she was loyal to Yusa. She only gave him up at the very end.
Yeah, kind of foolishly for like a murderer, but
Yeah.
yeah, she was like, no, user would never do that. I guess that's why.
Yeah, yeah. But
But at the end, yeah, she was pressured into it. Yeah,
mm. And that's a really good like thriller sequence. I thought that was great when the Sato's at the hotel and we know that Yus is there and like he can't get in touch with Murakami, and it's sort of like it was felt very sort of Hitchcock, um, just like the intensity of like Yus is coming down the stairs, what's going to happen. I thought that was really well done. I really liked that. But yeah, back to
yeah,
the
for sure.
girlfriend. I thought You know, like she has that dress, and the mother as well. The mother as well. Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
were good.
Girlfriend's name was Harumi. I wrote down all
Yes.
the characters' names. That's almost all the notes I took.
Uh,
Um, yeah,
but
I was surprised. I thought she was gonna be wearing some Western
mm,
garbage, you know.
mm.
But she was wearing a like a kimono or a whatever they're called. That was
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. It's sort of there's sort of this sort of a running theme. Well, not maybe a running theme, but there's like you hear about at the beginning there's this female character and the cops say, "Oh, she always used to wear kimono," and then now she's in Western dress, and it's sort of like I think the movie is really about sort of the aftermath of World War II and sort of the westernization of Japan. I think to a certain extent, that's definitely a something that was on the director's mind, and he wrote the script as well, actually. Kurosawa.
Yeah. Mm.
Um, but we
You
see,
don't think it was like accidental that
uh,
the Westernization? I don't know.
well, well, I mean,
Didn't see it that way.
because we
Yeah.
have two. There's two female characters where, well, maybe I don't know. There's that first character, and she starts wearing the modern dress, and I think that sort of signs the time. And then we have this other Harumi, and it's sort of like the symbol of her being guilty and whatnot is this like modern Western dress that Yusa bought for her with like the money that he had stolen. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think I'm reaching, but
that was the most dramatic scene,
yeah.
almost. That was that really surprised me when yeah, she was like, yeah, he bought this for me with his stolen money, and his
mm,
mother was crying. Her mother was crying, and she took the dress on and started dancing
mm,
along with the like rain and the I don't know lightning.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
dancing in circles and like manic, and it really went insane for a second. That was
Mm,
so dramatic,
mm. I liked that scene. That was good.
iconic.
Oh yeah. One thing I liked, one thing I noticed a lot about the movie is there's so many shots where it's well, there were quite a few where it would be one or two people talking, and then it would show Murakami entering the scene like in the background. I felt like walking through the door or whatever, and there was just sort of this like I don't know that yeah I don't know there was always this depth to every sort of scene, if you know what I mean. I don't know, nothing felt flat to me.
Yeah, sure. I didn't pay attention that much. Yeah.
um, what else have I got written down here? Oh yeah, so the movie, yeah, I just wrote chasing himself. So it's sort of like, I guess, yeah, as we've discussed, it's sort of he feels like he's almost chasing himself because the guy's a vet who had his stuff stolen, same as him, and he sort of feels like, oh yeah, oh, we've already sort of said that. Um, Not sure what else. Is there anything else that you wanted to say about the movie? I think we've talked about it in a very disconnected way, but I think we both would say it was a really really good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It was a kind of drawn out movie. There's some of the scenes were very long, and I
Mm.
think that wouldn't be a problem for most people, but I'm very impatient, and I had to divide it up into like two sits where I watched it. But it was good.
Yeah, yeah. I think the first half an hour or so is a bit slow because you don't really know like you don't really get what's going on necessarily in terms of what's the point of the plot. It's just sort of a guy looking for his gun. But I think certainly once Sato comes into it, it gets a lot um, faster paced. But yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's definitely a movie of its time of the 1940s. But even for that, like, doesn't feel. It didn't feel that dated to me, just in terms of the narrative and the acting and stuff. Like, certainly, black and white, and the way it looked, it's old, but um,
For
yeah.
sure, that's a note I made as well. Like it's very well, I don't know what I was expecting, but it was kind of westernized in some ways. It was
Mm,
the way it was structured, maybe like
mm,
pretty easy to understand, but
yeah,
still deep and stuff. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. I just liked it because there was, like, on the surface level, you got like a nice sort of police procedural movie. That's one thing I really liked about it, is you really get the sense of um, the procedure of, like, trying to solve this crime, and it's sort of, okay, we need to go talk to this person. Oh, we've got this bit of information, and, like, when he's comparing the bullets and things like that. I thought was really good.
Yeah, it was fun when they went to like the archive and they checked out all the
Yeah,
pickpockets and like their pictures and stuff and compared them, and he recognized that one woman.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was cool.
So
Also, a note I like to make. Uh, I thought it was funny. If you go to IMDb here for a
yeah.
stray dog, the title shows up in Swedish. So I guess it was released in Sweden as well sometime. And it shows up as Revolvern, the revolver. That was pretty funny.
Ah, I think.
So that's like the Swedish title. So it must have been
Oh,
released sometime here.
that's interesting. Yeah, well, I think, what do you? I mean, we haven't actually discussed the title, but I guess that, I mean, it sort of, just refers to the villain as, this sort of rabid dog. I guess
Yeah.
he's just going
And at
around
one
chasing his
point you
tail.
mentioned the title, and there's someone like, who is this guy? Uh, to Detective Sato, and
Mm,
say he was like, he's a stray dog.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was the title as well.
yeah.
Pretty cool.
I think the guy that plays Yusa, because you only see him in the ending sequence. Basically, he did a really. I don't even know if he has any lines of actual dialogue other than just, like, yelling.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so I
But
think it. Yeah,
really fit the character.
yeah,
Like they described him so much, and you heard so much about him, and then when I saw him, I was like, yeah, that's him. That's the
yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah. And it's, yeah, you literally don't see him till the ending of the movie, and that ending is really good. I thought that could have, like, come out of an '80s movie. Almost, I mean, maybe not exactly, but it was pretty intense for a 1940s movie. That last sequence where Murakami's chasing him.
Yeah. I didn't know if you wanted to get into the ending spoilers, but yeah, I wrote some notes about that as well. Like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
uh,
Spoilers for
yeah,
for
obviously,
for
yeah.
Stray Dog, but yeah, if you don't,
I
I
don't
mean,
know, like the
go for it.
piano playing, the girl.
Oh yeah,
So they were
yeah.
having this shootout, or like, what's his name? Yusa. He was shooting at uh,
Murakami.
Murakami. Yeah. And meanwhile, this girl in a house nearby was playing the piano. It was very
Yeah,
pleasant.
yeah. That was really cool.
And in a summer heat, and I think the scene had just gone from like maybe nighttime to morning, and I didn't even notice it because it's black and white.
Oh
But it was
yeah.
cool. That's what made me notice it was in the morning time, and she was playing, and
Mm,
very dramatic, very emotional scene. It was
mm.
cool. And that's how it ended.
Yeah, and then, well, I guess, to go into it, and then when he does finally catch Yusa and he's handcuffed him, the Yusa just screams, and he's just sort of yelling,
Yeah.
like, and it is like he's caught a stray dog, basically a rabid dog. So
He was writhing on the ground
yeah,
for like a minute.
yeah,
It was kind
yeah.
of painful to see. It was good acting.
I
It
thought
was
that would.
very
I thought the
emotional.
movie would just end on that. But I guess that would
Yeah.
be too bleak or too whatever because you don't know if Sato is alive or not. But yeah, that's I yeah, it was a good movie. Good movie. I think we've just pretty much just said everything about it. Unless, do you have any more notes?
Mm, uh, no, not really. I wanted to say that the cigarettes provided a connection between the men of the movie. So
Yes.
they always, whenever they could kind of stand still at some place and chill,
Mm.
they always got out their cigarettes, like hand-rolled cigarettes,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
the men would kind of light the cigarettes in front of each other, and I thought there was like a way of connection between them. I thought that was
Mm.
interesting, that culture.
Mm. Well, that's yeah in both movies as well. I guess is that what you were saying?
Did they smoke in the next movie as well?
Yeah. Well, they.
I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. No, that's definitely true. If yeah, Stray Dog, that yeah communal feeling, I guess, of you get from cigarette smoking. Yeah, that's a good point. I would really recommend Stray Dog if you've got maybe it's like a lazy afternoon on a weekend or something, and you're ready to sit down for like a black and white movie, but it's really not as slow or as dreary as most. Like when you think of a black and white movie from the 40s or 50s, you're thinking of some American melodramatic thing, and it's really not like that at all, in my opinion.
It's like 2 hours of good scenes from
Yeah,
Japan.
yeah,
Definitely worth a watch, and I think that's a movie that of the two that really stuck with me.
yeah,
So
yeah,
definitely worth it.
yeah. All right, well, let's move on to A Better Tomorrow. So this is directed by John Woo. 1986 it came out, which is yeah, I think it's like a year before the first Lethal Weapon, because that's what this reminded me a lot of was Lethal Weapon. But I guess it's just 80s action movie. But John Woo is pretty famous. Directed Face Off. That's sort of my favorite movie of his. If you've heard of that, if you've seen that movie.
No.
Well, I can recommend it to you. It's a western. Anyway, we don't have to, we won't talk
Alright.
about another movie. Anyway, A Better Tomorrow.
Okay.
Um, 80s Hong Kong action movie. What did you think of it?
My first note I made very early on, it had really pleasant music.
Mm,
I don't know how to describe it. I don't know anything about music either. It was kind of jazz-like, and it was very like striking at the very beginning. And
mm,
they introduced it with what was it? They were like printing illegal money, illegal
yes,
dollar bills.
counterfeiting.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, that's one thing I noted down was just like the 80s music sort of feel, which I really liked. And I thought the very like first thing you see is Ho, who's the main character, having a nightmare, and you see him like sit up in his bed like drenched in sweat, and you can see his like tattoo through his pajamas. And I think it's like a good subtle way of establishing he's like triad or whatever, just like in the very first few seconds without even saying anything, which I liked. Um, and I really love the first like 30 minutes or so of this movie when like before everything goes wrong basically, because like Ho and like all the characters, they're just so cool and they're just like happy and smiling and
yeah.
um,
Yeah, it's cool to see like Ho and Mark just hanging out. There was some really good,
mm,
I think maybe actor chemistry where they were just hanging out, like playing around. They did that really well.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that in the beginning as well. There's just yeah, it's really it seems like very genuine, like how friends act around each other or how brothers act around each other. You know, like just pushing each other or in a playful way. And I thought that was I really liked. I think yeah, the character dynamics are really good and the characters are good. And yeah, one thing I noted down, which was I thought was cool was so they're at the place where they print the fake money and like I think it was Mark picks up like a fake $100 bill and he lights his cigarette with it. He like burns it and lights his cigarette with it, which I thought was cool. And it's yeah, the opening is just full of lots of just two '80s cool guys hanging out and
Yeah, for sure. A lot of cool
yeah,
scenes,
yeah.
lighting the money on fire, and then it was like to this guy, uh, like uh, putting a bunch of money in his
Oh
shirt
yeah,
pocket.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
like a
yeah,
real gangster.
yeah. And
Mm,
that yeah with their driver or whatever it was. He just like hands him a bunch of money. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, and then we also meet Kit, who's Ho's brother, and his girlfriend, who I've forgotten the name of, and she has the cello. And there's like this sort of comedy scene of her like stuffing up playing the cello and like hitting, carrying the cello around and stuff like that. And I thought that was, I don't know, it was
yeah.
kind of goofy.
She, yeah, I don't know. That didn't fit in with the plot at all. I think that was
Like
like
it didn't
to get the
nothing.
comedy.
Yeah, like it never. She never plays cello again later in the movie. Like
Yeah,
nothing
she
gets
was
referred back to it.
just fucked up everything, and he had to like cover for her. And then she like at the end of the interview, her what you call it, like
Oh yeah,
audition.
yeah,
The guy, she like hits his car and breaks his window. The
yeah.
interviewer, and
It,
yeah, that was funny.
it
And they
was a yeah. It
never
never
talked
comes
about
back.
that guy stuff again.
Yeah, I think it. I mean, I'll say like even if it didn't really fit, it was like an unorthodox way of establishing their relationship, Kit and his girlfriend. At least it was, I guess because like in a maybe in a more boring movie, I don't know, it would just show them having dinner or I don't know, doing something. But this was sort of this weird thing out of the blue. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
which I
wrote that
liked it.
was like very uh, classic or characteristic for Chinese movies, maybe
Oh, okay.
to kind of you know work the plot that way.
Okay.
Especially the way she was acting. I haven't seen
Yes.
that many Chinese movies, but that's the way they usually do it, and that was
Yeah.
kind of typical, but it's unique,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I haven't seen too many Chinese movies. I'll be honest either. But yeah, her acting was kind of annoying. I will say, but it fit. It didn't it wasn't didn't bother me too much. Um, but where are we up to? So they've oh yeah, so they're cool guys basically, and then uh, Ho is saying, okay, this is my one last job before I retire basically, and they have to go to Taiwan um, to do like a counterfeit money deal. Um, and he says to Mark, "Oh, you stay here in case anything goes wrong or whatever." And yeah, they go over to Taiwan, him and Xing, and yeah, obviously everything just goes to shit, and just they get double crossed, and it's it's I think is that the first action? That's like the first action scene, and that's really I
Yeah.
really love that. Obviously, the draw of this movie is the action, and every gun
Yeah.
like the way it shoots is like a shotgun basically like a pistol like when it fires it's like a shotgun going off which
Yeah,
I
that
thought
was the
was
point.
good.
It really was full of action.
Yeah.
That was the first scene that really, you know, that way I could kind of know what I was gonna expect.
Mm.
Um,
And
Yeah, I don't
then
know if we should mention it, but the plot was like this Ho's father
yes,
like told him like you and your younger brother, Kit, you
mm,
shouldn't fight anymore. 'Cause
yeah,
you're in the mafia and you should quit that because
yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah,
become a police officer.
yeah,
That was the plot of the whole movie, the
yeah,
rivalry.
yeah. What does he say? Like, oh, when you were little, you used to play cops and robbers. I don't want you to play it now, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly like that. And they still did it.
Yeah. Um, One thing I thought was cool as well was when they get to Taiwan, like immediately Ho is like, "Oh, something bad's gonna happen here."
Yeah, he was like the other guy was like, "What? How do you know?" He's like, "My intuition."
Yeah, and he's dressed so cool as well. He's in this like white, like long coat. That's the other thing. That all of the suits and stuff they wear are so cool. Like
Yeah.
a lot of them. A lot of white
My
suits.
favorite was the old boss of the company or the mafia or whatever, what they worked for.
Yeah, yeah.
That old guy, he had such a cool classic
Mm.
Chinese, like almost maybe purple, I don't remember,
Yes,
at the
yes,
end
yeah,
before he
yeah, yeah,
died.
yeah, yeah. I remember that. That was cool. Um, I feel like this movie it feels it feels epic, but it's only like 90 minutes long because it's the pace is like so quick. It's like you got scene after scene after scene after scene. It slows down a little bit in the middle, but it's there's the plot's not that complicated or anything, but it just feels like so much happens. Like it's just
It was
constantly
a
moving. Yeah,
fast movie.
yeah.
All of the plot points and all of the betrayals and all of that, you know,
Mm,
very quick.
mm. Um, and there's the that I think one of the strongest action scenes, at least for me, was when the guy uh, comes in to kidnap Ho's father,
Mm, yeah.
um, and then the girlfriend's like trying to fight him off, and then Kit comes and arrives, and then they're all like fighting, and they 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 like toss each other into like every piece of furniture in the house.
Yeah, I forgot about that scene. Was just like the second action scene, but it felt like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first. They were all just brawling, and they were all every character was participating in this brawl, where
I
they
think
were
yeah, yeah,
like driving each other's heads into furniture and breaking
yeah.
shit. It was funny.
I think pretty much everyone gets stabbed as well.
I thought they were all gonna die, but
Yeah.
didn't the father die?
Yeah, the father
I
does
don't
die,
remember.
and
Yeah.
that sort of sets off the
Oh yeah.
yeah all the drama. Um, because yeah, Kit
She
find
she tried stabbing this bad
yeah
guy twice,
she did a
which was
pretty good
real.
job. Yeah, and did she throw like boiling water on him and stuff? And
Oh yeah.
the guy was pretty
She
big
was
though,
like,
so
yeah. She tried stabbing him the first time, and he was like, just
kept
pushed
going.
her away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she came back because she was determined. And she threw boiling water at him, and then at the end, the she killed the bad guy.
Mm,
I think she stabbed him at the final time.
mm. Um, yeah, and then we get pretty much that's the opening of the movie, like it's the first act or whatever, and then we get Ho's been in Taiwanese prison basically because he got betrayed, and he gets out and he's decided he doesn't want to be, involved with the mafia anymore. But everyone in the mafia wants him to still be involved, and he gets the job at the taxi place. And that taxi guy, he was pretty cool. Um,
At first, he was like, uh, kind of playing like yeah, you're an ex-convict,
Yeah,
convict. Like, why would we hire you? And
yeah,
I really thought he was gonna be like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
mean to him, and then he reveals like everyone in the room is an
Ex.
ex-convict,
Yeah, yeah,
convict, and he was like, and then they all felt a sense of maybe brotherhood.
yeah, yeah. I thought that was cool. And then there's like a very brief bit of him like just being a taxi driver, which I thought was, and like he seems happy. Um, but then he runs. Oh wait, we missed the best scene of the movie, or my favorite scene of the movie, when Mark is getting
Yeah.
revenge.
Oh yeah,
That's like the
that
best
was
scene in the whole movie.
badass. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, the basically we've skipped it a bit. All right, I've stuffed this up. But anyway, Mark, who's Ho's friend, after they found out Ho got betrayed, goes and gets revenge on these Taiwanese people, basically, and it's a really cool scene. Like he has like all these guns on him, and then he hides guns in the hallway where he's like gonna escape from, and it's just really well done. Like he's like the coolest character ever. This guy, he's really
Mark.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an
Yeah,
interesting name
he
as well.
always has two guns shooting in
Yeah,
from each
yeah,
direction,
yeah,
killing everyone.
yeah. And he kills like I don't know how many people in that room. It's
It was crazy. He killed everyone. And then when you see the cops coming in, there was a
yeah,
blood all over the
yeah,
walls.
yeah. Um, yeah. I think the action is just it's over the top, but I don't know. It still feels there's something still real about it. I guess just because it's practical effects. It's not CGI
Yeah, it was
or anything
kind
like
of
that.
over the top in a pretty good way.
Yeah, yeah,
He really went Rambo on those guys, and he shot everyone.
yeah,
He killed so many people, and then in the hallway, and then in the end, he was like, sure, he was done with it. He was
yeah,
walking away, and then some guy he had already shot was still alive, and he came into the hallway and shot his both his legs. So he was
yeah,
like completely crippled.
yeah. Um, but I think that's I think why one reason like Mark is so cool. It's just like he's I think in any movie like characters that are like really loyal to their friends is obviously a really makes them a cool character in my book. So yeah, Mark is really cool. Uh, but then yeah, obviously he gets crippled, and then when Ho gets out of prison and he meets him later, he's been reduced to sort of like errand boy, pretty much for the triads because this other guy Shing is now in charge, and like every and then Ho was gone, so Mark basically lost his position, and we get this one scene where we see him like wiping the windows of the boss's car with like a rag, and then the boss doesn't even hand him money; he just throws it on the ground.
Yeah, that was so strange. Like he
Yeah,
was demoted into some kind of I don't even know what his role was. He's cleaning the windows. I don't
yeah,
know why he was still sticking around to this gang.
yeah.
They were treating him so badly.
Yeah, it seemed like maybe there was more to it than we got. Like maybe he after Ho got captured, and maybe he started drinking or something like that. Maybe there was more to it why he got demoted. But yeah, I think the bit where he's the boss throws the money on the ground. Shing throws the money on the ground and he's picking it up. It does a good job of establishing like where Mark is at, but it also does a good job of showing what Shing is like and how he treats people.
Yeah.
Because
Did we explain Xing?
so no, well, basically Shing went to Taiwan with Ho, and as it turns out later, I mean, it's pretty obvious, in my opinion at least, that Shing was the one that betrayed Ho. I don't know. I don't know if you
Yeah.
thought that was much of a twist, really, but
No.
it's
Ho was like he was Ho or was it Mark that surrendered. It was Ho, right?
yeah, yeah, Ho,
And saved Shing. It was like
yeah,
get away, run away, the
yeah,
opposite direction.
yeah,
So I can get caught
yeah,
instead.
and yeah, there's a lot of scenes where it's like a big shootout, and then well, there's at least two where there's a big shootout, and then a whole bunch of cops pull up at the very end, like after everything's done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess it's the same thing twice, where the ending. It's him and Shing. I only just realized that.
Very end. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So basically, where do we get up to? We got up to Shing wants Ho to get back into the mafia, the triads, and Ho doesn't want to, and so Shing starts messing with his friends and with his bit like work where he works at the taxi place, and that's another really good scene is uh, the fight scene in the taxi garage. If you
Yeah.
remember, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's all these,
Shing sent out. Yeah.
yeah. So there's like pretty much all of the what'd you call it? All the triad guys are fighting all these like ex-con guys in the garage, and they're just like smashing them into cars, and it's a good scene.
Yeah. And Ho wasn't even there. So
Yeah.
all these guys, just smashed all the taxi cars and kind of tried to ruin it.
Mm.
And they were like, don't hire Ho anymore.
Yeah.
And then Ho comes back, start beating them.
Yeah. I thought it was just interesting that there's like yes, this action sequence and there's no main characters involved in it at all basically for like a few minutes. Just all random guys.
Yeah.
But it works. And yeah, pretty much after that we have the finale where they steal the disc to that they use to print the fake money, which I thought was funny because it's such a 80s piece of technology. Today it would be just a flash drive or something, obviously, but it was this weird disc thing for an old 80s computer. Um, and there's more action, and then there's basically a showdown at the end between Ho and Shing and Mark and that, and yeah, I don't know. There's not too much to say about the movie other than it's lots that go through the plot and the action scenes and stuff, which we've pretty much done. Did you have any more notes about it? I don't want to spoil too much more of the plot, I guess.
No, my phone died. I don't even have my notes, but yeah.
Oh, that's it. Well, I used pen and paper. I'm old fashioned.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else to say. There's the finale, and it's really well shot, and there's the classic thing of the Mark leaves and then he comes back at the right moment and helps them and things like that. It's you know it's just a really solid 80s action movie.
yeah, pretty good climax, I guess.
Mm.
Uh, I don't know if I should spoil it. Them kind of walking away together. He's Ho and his little brother Kit.
Mm. And it's sort of like they're back at where they were 3 years ago, but now they've at least sort of got their relationship has been mended, which is sort of yeah
Mm.
ties it all together nicely. Um, yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say about it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I think that was it.
Yeah, well, I definitely recommend both of these movies if you get a chance to watch them. Definitely Stray Dog. I thought that was yeah, that was really good. I liked it better tomorrow. I thought it was a great one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we've got to say about it. So goodbye.